Hi, this is Chris Ramsey with the Shaker Hound Academy, and this has been a very interesting week with all the COVID-19 stuff and social distancing and people being inside. So I've had a couple of calls about and concerns about what to do with a dog when they're inside for an extended period of time. Two major issues right up front is one, that stress can transfer from humans to dogs and vice versa. So if you're stressed out, that can stress your dog out and vice versa. The good news is that if you're relaxed and calm, that can transfer to the dog and vice versa. So if we work on getting a nice, calm, stable dog, that can help everybody. There's a reason why there's therapy dogs. They are wonderful, wonderful animals. So my favorite quote about therapy dogs is that all dogs are therapy dogs. Just most of them are freelancing. So as we talk about that, it's a great thing to have a dog in the house. I'm a big fan of that. Relaxation and mental games should play a big role in what you're doing with your dog. So if we have mental stuff and we have relaxation stuff and we have exercise, there should be both. If I had to choose personally and someone said you can only choose one of those, I'm choosing relaxation and mental stuff 8 days a week. We have the benefit that we can do both, but don't forget that relaxation and mental stuff is a huge part of them becoming comfortable with their environment. So how do you get the dog to relax? How do you get them some mental games? We're gonna start off with a food pouch. So what you can do is, this is mine here. So these are pretty inexpensive. Take your dog's food, the breakfast, dinner, whatever, boom, goes in the food pouch, have it on you, because we're gonna use that a ton. One of the things I like to do with puppies and new dogs coming into the house, and even just as a great game, is to free shape dogs. So free shaping is a way to not tell the dog what you want to do or what you want them to do, but they make decisions and you pay them off with food, with yes, and you would throw a food or actually give it to them. And we're gonna use that to free shape them to a crate. So if you have the crate off in the corner and the door's open and you have your food patch on you, wait. If the dog looks at the crate, yes, throw food to the dog. You can throw it right at where it is, maybe a little bit between them and the crate, awesome. They take a couple more steps to the crate, yes, great, pay them off. When they finally started getting close to the crate and maybe take their nose in the crate, yes, pay them off. But also pay them off for any foot that goes inside the crate. Yes, 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 yes. So they get paid off for that. Pretty soon, with practice of this, the dog thinks like, this crate is awesome. This is a great place to be. They go into the crate, yes, all the way, and then you can wait for a different behavior. Do they sit? Do they lay down? Yes, pay them off, and they may come out of the crate and then go back in again. That's all great, that's all fine. That's a great thing to do. You can free shape a dog to a crate, you can free shape a dog to a mat or another place in the house, all that, you can use that wherever you want. Easter egg hunts. This is a great thing to do. We're gonna use a cue of go find it for this one and a couple other things too. So an Easter egg hunt would just be, you have your food on you, dog's in the room, and just take a little handful of kibble and just throw it on the ground close to them and say, go find it. So they'll eat it up, they can see all the food, boom, 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 great. The next step would be to say, go find it and broadcast the food out a little bit farther. So maybe one goes behind this chair and one goes around the corner. So now they have to see it and they start sniffing it out. And sniffing is really, really good for the dogs. Once they get good at that, you can have the dog in another room, come back into room number 2, sprinkle food around, maybe hide it off in the corner, back over here, little caches of food. To sprinkle it all where you want to go. So they have to come into the room, go find it, and they have to go. And now they're really using their nose to sniff out where that food is. You could do multiple rooms if you want. It doesn't matter. But for them to use their nose and do that hunting thing is really, really good for the dogs. We can also use go find it just by sitting on the floor, having the food on you, throw a piece of food out. Dog sees the food, hits the ground, they go and get it. It's like 2-3 feet out. They go and get it, make it super easy at first. They go get the food, they turn back, look to you, yes. Now you pay them off when they come back to you with 2 or 3 pieces of food. Do it again, maybe 4 or 5 feet out. Go find it, they go and get it, they turn back, yes, great. Now they know, they go get that 1 piece of food, they come back, they get 2 or 3, that's awesome. When they get really good at that, and we get the distance to be, let's say, 5, 10, 15, 20 feet, however big of space you have, you launch some food out, they go and get it. Now we can start putting a cue on top of it. Dog goes out and gets the food, and you can say, Snickers, come. He turns to you, yes, comes all the way back. Now you've taken this fun game of go find it, and now we're working with recall. So you can use come, you can use here, you can have a 2-finger touch. They come and touch your fingers, whatever you want to do. Just use the same cue every single time when you're working with your dog. I love a game called Which One? So I will take food from my pouch, put it in my hand like this. There's nothing in this one, and you would present it to the dog. Which one? So the holes in your hand are big enough. You're not clamping all the way down. You're leaving a little space so they can actually smell the food in there. There's no food in this one. There's food in this one. What's going to happen at first, if you've never done this game with your dog, they're probably going to push their nose, and claw at it. And right away, you're going to say yes, and you're going to reward them. When they get good at that, and they know, and you start switching hands, they're going to have to tell you which one, and it's going to be probably a lot of clawing, a lot of nose pushing, and that kind of stuff. That's fine. And both of your hands are going to smell like food because you're going to switch the hands back and forth. When they get good at that, you're going to say, which one? And you're going to present it like this, and then they're going to push and push and push and push and push and push. And when they pull back for a hot second, you're going to say, yes. And now you're going to start rewarding that behavior. So that's polite behavior. That's the goal of this game is they find out which one is in it and just look at it and then yes, and then you pay them off. It's a great game to play. And we're also going to talk about board games. So, and I would spell that B-O-R-E-D because if dogs get bored, they go a little crazy. So board games can be something as simple as a snuffle mat. It's like it looks like shag carpet with some little flaps and stuff that you can hide kibble in and they can go and find it. That's a really easy game for dogs to play. There's some other complex ones where they may have to flip open a little lid or pull a little drawer or pull on a string. Some of them can get very complicated, but that's all good for dogs to do. One of the more simple ones too is a wobble ball. It looks like your typical Kong. It's this shape. There's a place in the top to put food, and there's a little door on the side, and the dog has to hit the wobble, go back and forth to spill the food out, and then they get to eat it, 2 or 3 pieces at a time. That's great activities for the dog. I love tug. My dogs love tug. Here's one of the bigger tugs they have right now. It's big enough for you to put your hands on, and the dog not, clamp here so you can hold. Tug, 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 tug. This is really great for dogs. There's also some physical exercise in this too, because they're going to exercise their shoulders and their legs and their back and all of those kind of muscles, tug, tug, tug. And it would be slow, gentle movements to be able to tug with your dog. And then if you want to, you can throw in some impulse control to teach them to drop it. That's a great activity. Sometimes dogs get bored with toys. My dogs love Kongs. I don't always, sometimes they just go and find them, but other times I might put some peanut butter in there, I might put some food in there. To make it more difficult, instead of them just licking out the food, you can take this is one of the older tug toys, put the food in there, and then stick this guy in there pretty easily. So now the dog has to pull it out. Usually you have to clamp with their paws, pull this out with their mouth, and then they get the goodies inside. As they get good with that, you can make it more difficult where maybe you have a Kong with an antler stuck in it. So this is harder to get out and it takes them more time. That can be super productive and fun for the dog. Simple massages are great for the dogs. I'm a huge fan of those. Petting, all good. That's all good stuff. If you want to take that up a notch, there's something called conditioned relaxation, where there's tons of this out there to be able to manipulate the dog, to be able to really tell them this is a good thing, to be able to help them relax. My favorite one is from Mark McCabe, his conditioned relaxation techniques that you can learn from one of his workshops. And he also has something called a behavioral down. Behavioral down is a process where you have your dog next to you on a leash and you're going to step on the leash with no tension, and then you're going to wait for the dog to relax. If you search on the internet, if you search for Mark McCabe, M-C-C-A-B-E, behavioral down, you'll see a link to his blog, and there's looks like a 7-page PDF. It's thick with information. It's really, really great. It tells you how to do it. It tells you all the benefits of it, how to increase the difficulty. So if you're inside and you're watching TV or you're doing work on a laptop or whatever you might be doing, this is a great thing for you to be able to teach your dog how to relax when they're under a little bit of stress. Doggy TV is also a great thing for you to do with your dog. If you have a storm door that's glass, or you have a window that the dog can see out without getting up on something, you can have them on a leash and next to you, have your food with you, and then pay them off for anything that they see. So if a neighbor comes by, see the neighbor, yes. If a dog comes by, see the dog, yes. If a cat, yes. So they see geese, honk, 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 see the geese, yes. Pay them off. So they can see their world through this little doggy TV window, and you can pay them off for everything they see. I mean, this is great for all dogs, but especially for dogs that are kind of reactive out in the wild, that you can help them be more comfortable with their environment. Tricks that you're going to teach your dog are all good. There's a ton of stuff on the internet to teach your dog tricks, whether it's, sit, lay down, paw. I like all of those things. Those are all great. And I would say if you're going to teach your dog paw, is to say paw and other paw or left and right paw, because they can totally learn that. That's a great thing for them to do. And any other tricks that you want to teach your dog is all fun interaction, and it's nice and bonding for you and your dog. If you're going on a walk right now in our neighborhood, there's not a ton of traffic. I have seen some other neighborhoods where there's a decent amount, but social distancing can be your friend, especially if you have a dog that's reactive. So if there's not a lot of people out, that's a great time for you to practice with your dog, walking them around, working on leash manners, and plus, once again, just like doggy TV, reward them for anything that they see. Anything that they see, just go ahead and name and explain it and reward them. You see the bird? Yes. You see the squirrel? Yes. All that kind of stuff. And it doesn't have to be just things that they see. It could be things that they hear. So if you're walking around, your neighbor goes into their car and the door goes slam and your dog turns their head around, you can say, "What was that?" Or "Did you hear that?" and pay them off. This makes them more relaxed and more comfortable with their environment. Working on the sights and sounds works in the house too. The classic meme is, my dog hates the mailman. But if you can reward your dog as soon as they're aware of anything that's moving in the house, and it might be just the gas meter person walking by, it might be a mail carrier, it might be Amazon Prime delivery person. Oh, you hear the neighbor? Yes, pay them off. Again and again and again. And it could be sounds in the house where somebody's upstairs on the second floor making some noise, and your dog wakes up and looks up. What was that? Go ahead and pay them off. So these are a couple things to help you with your dog become more relaxed. I hope this has been beneficial to you, and thanks for watching. Be safe, everybody.